You know, the entire city of Los Angeles is mourning the sudden loss of Kobe Bryant, his daughter Gigi, and the 7 other passengers who died tragically in that helicopter crash over the weekend.
In fact, people all around the world and the country as well. Psychologist Dr. Judy Ho is here to talk about what people are going through and what we can do to get through it. Thanks so much for joining us this morning. Really appreciate it. And the first question, I guess the most obvious one, is a lot of people all around the world didn't really even know Kobe Bryant other than to know that he was a famous basketball player. Why does it affect people so much to the degree that it does?
Well, Kobe was a national hero, and people grew up watching him and getting to know him, even from a passive side, you know, watching him on TV. So many great memories with your own family tied to your experiences watching Kobe Bryant. With the advent of social media, you feel like you even get a glimpse of his family life, and you really feel like you know him at the core. So I think people are really responding to this in many ways that they would respond to losing a family member, for example.
Yeah, you know, I remember as the news was happening on Sunday, I just felt this sick feeling overtake me, and I thought it can't get any worse. And then I found out his daughter was on the plane, and that's when it just really hit me even harder.
Yes, and I think that that is what's so tragic about everything, because, you know, when we think about heroes, they feel invincible to us. And so when that happens, we feel even more vulnerable. And then when you find out about children being on the plane, the fact that he was only 41, it just seems like his life was so cut short, that really makes us feel really, really vulnerable for ourselves as well.
And what about when there's so many questions, you know, that still linger? You know, the chopper went down. We don't know why really yet. There's no official word on why, and that could take a very long time. And it's so unexpected. You know, when something is so sudden, you almost go into shock, don't you?
Absolutely. I do think that people are in a state of shock. You know, when we talk about sort of stages of grief, I don't think that it's stages where you go through them. I think it's a circle of grief. I think that people have different feelings all the time, and they can pop up and pop back down. So you might feel a little bit acceptance, like, okay, he's gone. But then the next minute you're angry and you're in denial and you feel depressed. And I've actually heard people say, I had a panic attack on Sunday when I heard about this, right? And so I think the shock factor really does push people into this process of grief much quicker.
You say, talk about the circle of grief. What do you mean by that?
Yeah, the circle of grief is really this idea where we experience all of these different emotions at the same time. You know, in the beginning, they thought that people would move through things in stages. Like first you might be in denial, then you finally reach acceptance. But really, I think grief is complicated. You know, one day you wake up and you're angry again. And I think as we find out more information about how the chopper actually went down or other details, we're going to have all kinds of different feelings all at the same time. And I think it's really just important to know that and acknowledge that that's going to be part of the experience and not be so afraid
There are
of
no
it.
rules. It's just a hodgepodge of things, emotions, really.
Well, and there may be some commonalities, you know, that you point to, but yeah, no order. As Roxy said, no rules. And we're all individuals, so we process things differently.
Right. Absolutely. Depending on your own grief experiences, whether you've lost family members, how you dealt with that, I think we're all going to have very, very different responses to this news.
So what can we do? What can people do out there to try to cope with this?
Well, first, I think don't deny your feelings. You know, cry it out and lean on your community, your family, your friends, and talk to them about it. But the second thing is don't ruminate either. Let's not go overboard and get really sucked into the grief. I think what we should do is actually take a lesson from Kobe in the way that I think he would have wanted us to live our lives, which is just to embrace your values, embrace what's important to you, family, love, and just being a pillar for the community.
But it's so hard to extract yourself from it if you're that involved in it.
That's true. And I think that that's why it's really important that we don't isolate ourselves. Sometimes when we're in the middle of grief and dealing with difficult feelings, we hide away, but that's going to make things more intense. So push yourself to do what we call opposite action. Do the opposite of what you might do. Instead of isolate, go out into the community, spend time with the people that you love, and let's all work on this together.
You're talking about taking away life lessons. You know, sometimes when bad things happen, everyone takes a moment to really, you know, talk about how life is precious, and you're here one minute, gone the next. And the idea, not just with Kobe, but the other families on this plane who left home, said goodbye, and they never came back home. And the fact that we are vulnerable and that could happen to us. And we say this, and then 2-3 days later, later, we forget.
Yes, and I think we have to have that daily reminder. You know, be grateful for the day that you have. Live your life meaningfully in every moment, because we might not have another tomorrow, whether it's ourselves or somebody we love. So say what you want to say today, do the things that you want to do, and just make sure that you appreciate everything that you have in your life and the people who are so wonderful in your life as well.
And that's probably the biggest lesson out of all of this, because you do feel helpless. You think, this has happened, there's nothing I can do about it.
Right.
You know, so you want to try to find something meaningful to help you in your life as you move forward.
Exactly, and I think it's all about building meaningfulness every day. I think sometimes people, they stop and they say, you know, I don't want to live my life today the way I'm feeling depressed, I'm feeling anxious, I'll just sit here. No, go out and do something meaningful, because again, we don't know how much time we have, and we just want to make sure that we're really taking stock in what we can do today.
Dr. Judy Ho, thanks so much.
You
And of course,
so
you can watch the doctors on our sister station, KCOP, at 3 p.m. weekdays, and we really appreciate you being here with us this morning. It really does help.
Thank you so much.
We'll be right back.